You know, I've heard some really wild stories when it comes down to relationships. I had a Marine Corps buddy of mine have his PS3 drowned in a bathtub by his now ex-wife. Another buddy got stalked by his ex for a week when he started dating again, and hell, I've even got my own story. Where my ex decided to play Etch-a-Sketch with a key on the side of my truck and drew a symbol most associated with a certain Austrian painter. And I gotta say, that was a pretty shit week to get stuck in traffic, I'll tell you that. But I have never, ever heard of a woman cranking out a big old steamer on someone's pillow and then blaming it on the damn dog.
My side of the bed was human fecal matter.
Well, that was until I read the story of this week's Target on What a Piece of Shit, a series that explores the ups, the downs, and the baldness of some of Hollywood's biggest piles of human excrement, all voted on by you, the viewers. That target is none other than Amber Heard, a woman who fooled the public and the media with a beautiful face and a shining smile, until she was completely exposed in one of the most brutal court dressing downs the internet has ever seen. What a piece of shit, Amber Heard. Let's talk about it. Amber Laura Heard was born to Patricia Page and David Clinton Heard in Austin, Texas on April 22, 1986. Since her father owned a construction company and her mother worked for the state in telecommunications, Amber grew up more privileged than most, learning at a young age how to ride horses, hunt, and fish, all the while participating in local beauty pageants. However, tragedy struck when she was only 16, when her best friend died in a car crash, causing Amber to deny her Catholic upbringing, eventually becoming an atheist and dropping out of high school to pursue an acting career in Los Angeles in 2004.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Bold indeed. But after grinding for years in small-time productions and roles like Jack and Bobby in 2004 and The O.C. in 2005, she finally landed her first major role in 2006's All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, which, yeah, it fucking sucked. It was in 2008 that Heard began dating photographer Tasia Van Ree, and the first sign of her piece of shitness began to show, because she was arrested in Seattle for domestic violence after grabbing Van Ree's arm and hitting her. Van Ree stated in a later interview that Heard had been wrongfully accused and that the arresting officer had, and I quote, hints of misogynistic attitudes towards them, which later appeared to be homophobic when they found out that they were domestic partners, and not just friends.
Right.
I mean, okay, maybe you've got a point there, Tasia, because being gay in 2010 was less accepted than it is now, but there's one little issue with that statement. The arresting officer, who later went on to voice her displeasure of being labeled as a homophobic misogynist, was Beverly Leonard, who's not only a woman, but also a lesbian.
You serious?
You cannot make this shit up. So either Officer Leonard has some severe self-hate going on, or Van Ree was lying like a motherfucker. Who knows, maybe her and Amber are both pieces of shit. I'll let you guys decide.
We do not care.
The two women split up in 2012, with Heard magically getting together with Johnny Depp, who she met during the production of 2009's The Rum Diaries just a few months later. Well, that timing was convenient, wasn't it?
Coincidence? I think not!
They went on to get married in 2015, and during that time, Amber's career began to surge, and instead of doing smaller productions like she had been doing for the last 10 years, suddenly she was booking bigger roles in bigger films with well-known faces in the industry. In 2013, she was in Paranoia and Machete Kills. In 2014, she was in 3 Days to Kill. And then there was Magic Mike XXL in 2015, and she eventually became a part of the DCU in 2017 as Mara in Zack Snyder's Justice League and the billion-dollar box office success, Aquaman. But, dear viewer, there was trouble brewing on the high seas, because in 2016, just a year after marrying Johnny, Amber obtained a temporary restraining order against him and filed for divorce, citing that during the entirety of our relationship, Johnny has been verbally and physically abusive to me.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Johnny took the allegations on the chin and chose to rinse himself of the marriage and Amber herself by agreeing to pay $7 million in a settlement. which Amber pledged would be donated entirely to charity. Remember that, because it's gonna be important. You actually don't remember that. She didn't do it. She donated a small fraction of it to the ACLU and kept the rest because she's a lying piece of shit.
Boom. Roasted.
All Amber had to do was keep her fucking mouth shut, right? She had leveraged her beauty and youth into a marriage with one of Hollywood's biggest stars. She had won a bunch of money in a divorce settlement and killed his career while hers was booming. But this piece of shit just couldn't shut the fuck up, proclaiming herself as a figurehead of the bullshit Me Too movement in an op-ed published by the Washington Post in 2018, where she said, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out.
By practically, you mean not really.
Look, Amber, our culture wasn't pissed that women were speaking out. It was concerned that some women might be lying in order to progress their careers and destroy others. And what do you know? It turns out Amber was lying, because at this point, Johnny was sick of her shit and decided to sue her in a trial that took place in February of 2021, not only alleging that she was lying, but that she was the abuser the entire time.
Well. How the turntables...
The trial was aired on live television, and soon Amber became the laughing stock of the internet, getting caught time and time again in the network of lies that she had created. Now, I love Johnny Depp, okay? I grew up watching the guy's movies like a lot of you, but I don't think he's a saint, okay? He's got his own problems, years and years of substance abuse, including apparently drinking mega pints of wine, whatever the fuck that is.
You poured yourself a mega pint of red wine, correct?
But he's always been open about his struggles, whereas Amber has not. This piece of shit was caught on a voice recording admitting to hitting Depp, calling him a baby when he spoke up about it, and suggesting that nobody would believe him because he's a man and she's a woman. Not only that, but she sliced his finger with a vodka bottle, took lewd photos of him while he was passed out drunk, and apparently, took a fucking shit on his bedroom pillow following an argument.
Step back, I think I'm gonna vomit!
This piece of shit took a shit on someone's pillow and then had the audacity to blame the damn dog.
My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet.
Are you retarded?
So Johnny went on to win the trial in spectacular fashion, with a unanimous jury awarding him $15 million in damages, which was reduced to $1 million in a settlement because Amber couldn't afford the original damages. Want to know what Johnny did with that money? He actually donated the entire settlement to charity, unlike his piece of shit ex-wife. And well, that's pretty much it. Amber faded into irrelevancy, her last role being in 2023's Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which was reduced to nearly nothing after public outcry demanded that she be removed altogether. All in all, the story of Amber Heard can be reduced to this. You can be beautiful, you can be talented, you can have a great body, but if under it all you're a psychotic, abusive piece of shit, well, you're gonna end up exactly where she did, laying in the bed you created on a shit-covered pillow. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for checking out my video. I'll talk to y'all later.